Welcome to Mind Over Matter, where we feature young Jamaicans who are shooting for the stars. At 24 years old, he has been called to the bar, but the journey hasn't been a smooth one, but one filled with many challenges to overcome. Losing his father at 11 years old under tragic circumstances, diagnosed with a learning disorder that shattered his dream of becoming a doctor, his story could have been different. He's a past student of Cornwall College and a recipient of the Governor General's Award for St. James. His story is one of sheer perseverance. My guest is DEMOY KERR.
Greetings to your viewers and your listeners. Thank you for having me.
And congratulations are in order. You have been called to the bar.
Thank you very much.
All right, so take me back to that day when you received your exam results, your bar exam results.
Okay, so when I saw my exam results, I was over the moon. I was extremely excited. I was happy. I was relieved. I think perhaps best described it, relieved. Just happy that, okay, this journey is finally almost over. Because, of course, after the bar exams, the next hurdle is being called to the bar. So I was happy that chapter is now closed.
So why did you study law?
Well, interesting. I wanted to be a doctor first, and I didn't get the grades that would allow me to continue to pursue the sciences. I did science all the way up to CSEC, and I did pure sciences, biology, chemistry, physics, all of them. But I had a physics teacher who thought that perhaps law would have been a more fitting profession for me, because he said that whenever I'm in class, all I'm going to do is argue. Defend.
Village lawyer.
Essentially. So maybe I should do in law. Mm-hmm. And that was further cemented by another teacher that I had by the name of Miss Campbell. Miss Campbell said she saw potential in me being an advocate and a litigator. And, she encouraged me to pursue law. And so I did. And I switched from sciences to law in sixth form. Or arts rather, in sixth form. I did law at the CAPE level and sociology and other art subjects, and I was successful. So I went on to apply to the University of West Indies Faculty of Law, and I was accepted. So, I'm grateful. All glory be to God. That's essentially how I got to where I am now.
I've always heard that law school rigorous. It rough. How rough was it?
No, rough bad, man. Law school is the most difficult thing I've ever had to do in my life. That was a very difficult journey. Not only is it high pressured, but boy, you really have to ensure that your mental health is intact. Your health overall is intact. You also have to ensure that you have a good support who could hold me accountable, who I could hold accountable. And as you finish one assignment, there's an assignment waiting for you to do. There's also legal aid. I don't even want to talk about legal aid, but there's legal aid. Legal aid is where you actually get to have a feel of what the practice of law is going to be like. You're given files you have to work on, you have to progress these files, you have to progress them in a timely manner and in a manner that is satisfactory to your assessors. Now, that is a nerve-wracking experience all by itself, legal aid. And then you have the bar exams, which...
Yes, I've heard about that. Yes, so tell me about the bar exams.
Boy, bar exams were literally the most difficult exams I've ever done. And reason being is I would have been preparing for the face-to-face bar exams. However, due to the pandemic, the bar exams were administered online. Mm. And despite having more time to complete the examination per course, it meant that we still had to use the entirety of the time. So if we had 24 hours, we had to use a full 24 hours to complete the paper and ensure that we dot all our I's and cross our T's. So yeah, it was very difficult. And I think the challenge for me was trying to transition from the mindset of having the face-to-face exams to now online modality.
So how did you handle the pressure at law school?
I just have to say I had faith that I would have made it out, and I think I had a very strong support system. Friends were a part of my study group, and we would have been studying together from as early as even sixth form. Those who are from Montego Bay and the friends that I got along the way as well. So I had a good support system, my mom as well. and family members and friends. That is how I think I was able to navigate through law school and not lose it. Have people who believed in me, and of course believing in myself and believing that God is going to see me through.
So you're not from a wealthy background. Over 1.5 million per annum. How did you fund your education?
Well, I always wondered how we did it, but I was able to apply myself for scholarships and bursaries and grants. And I also was the recipient of a number of scholarships, bursaries and grants. And I think that was what allowed us to be able to pay the tuition as well as the housing and food and all of that throughout my time studying law, from the faculty to law school. And I think my mom made a lot of sacrifices. She worked twice as hard. And of course, that as well supplemented our ability to be in a financial position to finish this law program. So yes, I would accredit a lot of it to my mom's sacrifices as well as being able to be awarded scholarships and grants.
DEMOY, there are a lot of scholarships out there. It's just for students to apply themselves and try to go for these scholarships then.
Definitely, there are scholarships out there, there are bursaries out there are grants out there. And what I would encourage young people to do is take a hold of the opportunities that are out there. Apply yourself. Don't be nervous. Don't be afraid. One of the things for me, I was afraid of applying for scholarships because, there's just a thought in the back of your head say, oh, there's a lot of people applying for scholarships. So you rubbish the thought. I wouldn't detain myself too much on thinking about those sort of things. Just go for it. Because literally the only way you can get one is if you apply yourself. So you apply for the scholarships, you apply for the bursaries, you apply for the grants, and you have faith, you keep your fingers crossed.
How did you remain focused though during the pandemic?
I had to come up with a working plan. And despite the transition from face-to-face to online, I tried to ensure that what I was doing before was maintained. So I got up early just the same as if I was going to face-to-face classes. I made breakfast, had devotion, prepared for classes, got to my classes early, of course, prepared for tutorials. And I had a timetable that I would schedule what I would need to accomplish for the day, classes as well as co-curricular activities, and I try to stick to it as best as possible. I won't say it was 100%, but yes. I tried my best to stick to that routine, and that's how I think I was able to keep the balance. And of course, my friends and family who were basically my support system, they played a very important role in ensuring that I was able to keep my head on my body during my time in law school.
You were featured in the newspaper in 2009. You lost your father under tragic circumstances. Can you tell us about that story?
Yes, so my father passed away in March of 2009, the Saturday before I did GSAT. So GSAT was on the Thursday and Friday, and my father was killed on the Saturday in the United States, in the state of Virginia. And my mother kept it a secret from me until the final day of exams, which would have been on the Friday. She didn't really have the courage to tell me herself, so she brought me to church, and my pastor sat me down. He sat in front of me, and my sister was beside me, and some other members of my family were also present. And he said he was going to share a story with me. Now, me coming from the exam, I wasn't expecting this sort of news, right? He said that there were 3 men working in an institution, and one of the men was jealous that there was another man who was in a greater position of authority than he was. And so he decided one night that he was going to take the life of that man. And in that process, the other gentleman was also killed. So 2 men lost their lives that night. He said to me, what would you say to the family of those victims who lost their lives? And, just come out of the exam, I said to myself, yeah, man, I sound smart. So I was trying to give the best answer. I said, I will try to help them as much as possible. And wherever I can, I'll offer my support and try to see how best we can make their lives better. And then he said, one of those men was your father. And it never clicked at the time, but I saw my sister, she started to break down. And I wonder, why is she about? Right? But then I paused and it sunk in what he said. And I started to cry and I understood. And that is when I learned that my father was killed overseas.
So how did that affect you emotionally?
It took a toll on me. For a while, I started to question things. I grew up in a Christian household and I started to wonder, why me? Why me, God? And I started to doubt God and started searching for answers. And although I would have had the support from male figures in my life, my uncles, grandfather, and other friends and family members, it was difficult. I remember for a while I didn't even want to celebrate Father's Day, not because I was jealous, but it just hurt. And I didn't even want to attend funerals for a while because I wasn't able to attend my father's funeral. We tried our best to make it.
You weren't able to attend?
No, we weren't. So we didn't have a visa at the time. None of us had visas at the time, and his funeral was overseas. So we tried to get the visa. We got one entry at the time, and that was the day before the funeral. When we got to the United States, it was
too late.
One after the funeral, it was too late. So even that, for a while I didn't want to attend funerals. And what gave me the power to overcome that was in university, I decided that I was going to seek counseling. So I spoke to a psychologist and that I was able to unpack all that hurt and trauma. And I think that allowed me to overcome that period.
So you passed a GSAT for Cornwall College. Was it a supportive environment?
Definitely. Everybody knows that I wanted to attend Cornwall College. For me, Cornwall College is the best institution in the world. And there's a saying, there are two types of men in this world: those who went to Cornwall and those who wish they went to Cornwall. Of course, passing exams to go to Cornwall was the best thing in the world for me. And it came at a time when I was still mourning the loss of my father. So it was a ray of hope for me, so to speak. It gave me some hope. So that was probably the only good. How I felt was that was the only good in this difficult time. And I got the support from my mom, my family members and friends. And it was a great experience.
Okay, so you were very active at Cornwall?
I was. I participated in as many clubs and societies as possible. I served on the executive of many. I was form captain from grade 7 to grade 13. I started some clubs and societies. I started the Peer Council Society of Cornwall College. I started the Sixth Form Association, served as president for both, represented the school locally, regionally, and internationally. And I tell you, when I went to sixth form, I wasn't supposed to go to sixth form because I wanted to pursue sciences and be a doctor. So not getting the grades for sciences, I had to do the arts. And I was on a little probation period to see if I would have excelled in the arts. And I worked so hard. And I was first in my class for arts. So I got the prize for top student in arts. And I became the president of the Sixth Form Association. So for me, that period felt like the stone that the builders refused cornerstone. And I think that has encouraged me a lot not to give up. I thought all hope was lost when I saw that I wasn't going to be a doctor. But as I like to say, law chose me. So yeah.
And let me add to that, you were also diagnosed with a learning disorder, yet you accomplished so many things. Tell us about that disorder.
Right. So dyscalculia is a disorder that really, it prevents persons from accomplishing arithmetic equations. What does that mean? Essentially, bad math. Like there is just something that does not allow you to get math, understand it, and numbers confuse you and all of that.
Wonder if I had that.
So I had to come up with some very unique ways to get myself in the habit of math because I had to pass math CXC. So I used to write down my timetable on the paper before, as soon as they say, all right, you may now begin. so that I could refresh my memory on what is the multiplication and all that. But luckily, thank God we now have calculators. So when I did law, the only time we saw math was Roman numerals or section 1, 2, 3. So,
so you yes, you received the Governor General Award in 2017. Tell us about that.
Yes, so the Governor General's Achievement Award is under the Governor General's Program of Excellence. So under that program, there is the I Believe initiative and the Governor General's Achievement Award. So I applied to be a recipient of the Governor General's Achievement Award in 2017 after being a member of the National Youth Parliament representing the constituency of St. James Central. We, myself and the other members of the Youth Parliament for St. James, created an organization known as the St. James Youth Leaders Organization. And that was to create a platform for young people to realize their true potential, to hone their leadership skills, whether it be in advocacy, communication, time management, etc., as well as to learn from persons who, many would consider mentors or persons who are successful. So that led me to apply for the Achievement Award, and I was one of the recipients. There were 3 recipients for different age cohorts for that particular year. I believe it's the same modus operandi now, and I represented my age cohort for that year. An opportunity that I was extremely happy for and grateful. And later on, I did become an I Believe Initiative ambassador.
Which community are you from in Montego Bay?
So I was born and raised on Umber Avenue, and then we moved to Princess Street, both in the inner city of St. James, Montego Bay. That's Montego Bay South. So it's really downtown Mobay.
So people have lost confidence in the legal system, especially the poor. So how do you plan to give back to the community, especially those persons who can't afford proper legal representation?
It's interesting that you asked me that question, because when I was in university, I always said that for me, coming from the background that I'm from, and not myself being in a position to afford a lawyer or anything like that, then I would ensure that when I do become an attorney, God's willing, then I would try my best to assist those who may need assistance in terms of legal advice, or perhaps even having legal matters that they need representation for. And so now that I'm in a position to provide that assistance, I actually have been helping persons, could call it pro bono for free, different legal matters. And I have a long-term goal, which is, if I could raise enough money with the assistance of the private sector to assist persons within particular communities with legal fees, then that's something that I would love to do. I really wish that the private sector would come on board and offset some of these burdens for persons who have a right to representation. There's also legal aid, which I intend to play a part of. And I think that legal aid is something that is present and is useful for persons who may not have that income to retain a lawyer or seek legal representation.
What kind of law will you be practicing?
Every area.
Every area, okay.
Every area. I wouldn't myself this early in my legal profession, my legal practice. So I'd want to get a field of as many areas as possible, as well as to understand and be able to navigate through complex legal issues, whether it be in relation to conveyancing matters, that's buying and selling of properties, or wills, we call it probate, or litigation, whether civil or criminal. I think for the most part, I would want to learn all areas and be in a position to assist persons who have legal matters that span across all areas of the law.
What would you say are some of the strategies that have led to your success so far?
I think the first thing is faith. I live by a mantra that with God in the center, you can achieve anything you set out to do as long as you have the right attitude and willingness to work hard. So that's the first thing. Faith. A belief system is very important because it allows you to not just rely on yourself or persons around you, but to put your confidence and hope into someone who you believe is greater and who has the ability to move mountains. So I think that's the first thing, my faith. The second would be my support system, my mom, who I consider my life's CEO, my friends and other members of my family, as well as just keeping myself self-motivated. I know that I have siblings who are looking up to me, and there are other persons who are looking up to me. There are persons who would have told me along the way that, I can't wait for you to turn lawyer because you're going to be my lawyer. You're going to be my lawyer. So I think those motivate me to continue.
So I'm giving you an opportunity to thank the persons who have been influential in your life so far.
Oh, thank you. So of course, I have to thank my mom, Mrs. Kerr. I can't list all of my family members. My father, my uncles, godfather, my friends, Nathaniel, Cheyenne, Brandon, Eclipse. The list is long. Nick McLeod, those persons who would have assisted me along the journey. Alexander Shaw, Maurice. List is too long. I don't want anybody. Of course,
you have had a good support system, man.
Yes, everybody from First Church of the Open Bible.
So Demoy, before we leave, what advice do you have for young people who have probably faced challenges and feel hopeless?
I know that the journey might be difficult, what you're going through. You might feel overwhelmed, but greater is He that is in you than he who is in the world. So while you may feel as if, nothing go on and things might be rough, push through, keep believing in yourself, keep motivated. As I mentioned earlier, having a belief system is very important. If you believe in God, if you believe in a higher source of being, then continue to trust God, have faith. And, I believe that you can achieve anything that you set out to do. Just as I said, have the right attitude and the willingness to work hard. Do not resort to the gun or to scamming or those other illegitimate means to try to achieve upward social mobility, right? There are legitimate ways that you can make a better life for yourself and provide a better life for your family. So just stay on the straight and narrow, believe in yourself, believe in God.
Thank you, man. That's sound advice. And it was great talking to you. And I'll be following your progress. I see you each time you achieve something. I see it in the newspaper, so I'm sure I'll be seeing more of you in the future.
Well, thank you very much. All glory be to God, and thanks again for having me.
Yes, you're welcome.